Welcome to Sleepy Science. Tonight, we are going somewhere wide and cold and still. We are going north, into the deep forests and the silver lakes, to spend some quiet time with one of the largest and most quietly remarkable creatures on Earth. If you enjoy this, please take a moment to like and subscribe, and leave a comment telling us which topic you would like to drift off to next. And if you would like to help keep these videos going, you can find the Sleepy Science Patreon linked below. Now, let us begin. Somewhere in the world right now, there is a moose standing at the edge of a frozen lake. It is not moving. It is simply standing there, its breath rising in slow white clouds above the water, its enormous dark eyes catching what little light the winter sky is willing to give. It has been standing there for a while. It is in no hurry. The moose does not feel the need to explain itself. It simply exists, large and patient and ancient, in the way that only wild things truly can. The moose is the largest member of the deer family. When you think of a deer, you might picture something delicate, something small and watchful and quick. The moose is none of those things. A fully grown bull moose can stand nearly 7 feet tall at the shoulder. That is taller than most interior door frames. If a moose walked through the average house, it would need to duck. And its weight. A large male can weigh anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. Some individuals push closer to 1,800. That is nearly as heavy as a small car, wrapped in fur and standing quietly in the snow. Their legs are long, extraordinarily long. A moose's legs are so long that they must splay them wide, almost awkwardly, just to reach down and drink from a stream. There is something almost tender about watching it. This enormous animal folding itself carefully toward the water, working out the geometry of its own body just to take a sip. Those long legs are not accidental, though. They are a gift of evolution. In deep snow, those legs carry the moose above the drifts that would trap and exhaust a smaller animal. The moose strides through winter like it barely notices it is there. The scientific name for the moose is alces. In North America, we call them moose. In Europe and Asia, where the same species also lives, they are called elk. This causes a small and gentle confusion because in North America, elk refers to a different animal entirely. A large deer, yes, but a different one, with a different shape and temperament. Language, like rivers, finds its own way around things. The same creature moves through the world wearing different names, depending only on which side of the ocean you happen to be standing on. Moose are found across the northern hemisphere. They live in Canada and Alaska, in the forests of Scandinavia, in Russia, in China, in the forests that ring the top of the world like a dark green crown. They are animals of the boreal zone, which is the name for those vast northern forests of spruce and fir and pine that stretch across continents like something slow and breathing. In those forests, the moose is at home. The cold does not bother it. The dark does not frighten it. It has been living in winter for so long that winter is simply where it lives. Their coat is something worth thinking about for a moment. Each hair on a moose's body is hollow. Not thin, not simply fine. Hollow. Each individual strand is a tiny tube of air, and those tubes of air act as insulation, trapping warmth against the moose's body, the same way a down jacket traps warmth against yours. This is why moose can sleep in snow without shivering themselves awake. Their coat is architecture. It is engineering. It is 10,000 years of cold distilled into fur. Moose have a dark, rich, brown coat for most of the year. It can look almost black in low light. In summer, the coat fades a little, goes softer and thinner as the animal sheds its winter weight. Calves, when they are born, are reddish-brown, almost rusty, a color that helps them blend into the dappled light of spring forests. They darken as they age. All creatures seem to do that, in one way or another. The world adds its color gradually. The antlers of a male moose are among the most quietly extraordinary structures in the natural world. They are not horns. Horns grow continuously and are never shed. Antlers are different. They grow, reach their full size, and then fall off every single year. A bull moose grows an entirely new set of antlers each spring, from scratch. Starting from two small bumps on the skull called pedicles, the antlers grow outward and upward through summer, fed by a rich blood supply inside a soft covering of skin called velvet. That velvet is warm to the touch. It is tender. It is full of nerves. The antlers at this stage are sensitive and alive. By late summer, the antlers are fully grown, and the velvet dries and peels away, sometimes helped along by the moose rubbing against trees. What is left is hard bone, pale at first, then stained darker by the bark and mud the moose rubs against. A full rack of moose antlers can span 6 feet from tip to tip, sometimes more. They are the fastest growing tissue of any mammal on Earth. In peak summer, a moose's antlers can grow more than an inch per day. An inch of living bone every single day. Then, in winter, after the rut is over, the antlers simply fall off. The moose does not seem disturbed by this. One day, it has enormous antlers. The next, they are gone. The moose goes on eating. It does not seem to miss them. And by spring, the whole process begins again. Year after year after year, the moose rebuilds itself in pieces, quietly, without complaint. The antlers are only grown by males. Female moose, called cows, do not have antlers, but female moose are no less formidable for that. A cow moose is a deeply serious animal. She is protective of her calves in a way that can be frightening to observe. More people are injured by moose each year than by bears. Not because moose are aggressive by nature, but because a mother moose, startled or threatened near her young, will act without hesitation. She will charge. She will kick. Those front hooves are capable of delivering enormous force. And and she will not stop until she is satisfied that the threat has gone. But right now, in the quiet of this narration, there is no threat. Everything is still. Let us simply watch. Let us keep our voices soft. Let us just stay here a while, in the dark, at the edge of the trees, and watch the moose. Moose are herbivores. They eat only plants, and they eat a remarkable amount of them. An adult moose consumes somewhere around 40 to 60 pounds of plant material every single day. In summer, they wade into lakes and ponds to eat aquatic plants. Water lilies, pondweed, horsetail. They can submerge their entire heads beneath the surface, staying under for more than 30 seconds at a time. There is something dreamy about that image. A creature that enormous, standing in a still lake, slowly lowering its massive head beneath the water, in the soft gold light of a summer afternoon. They have a special valve in their nose that closes when they submerge, keeping the water out. Their nostrils seal themselves. They are designed for this. The moose is not just a forest creature. It is an animal of the water, too. It is equally at home wading through a lake, as it is walking through deep snow. The world bends a little to accommodate it. Or perhaps it is more accurate to say that the moose simply refuses to let the world stop it. Moose are excellent swimmers. They can swim at speeds of around 6 miles per hour and have been recorded swimming distances of more than 12 miles at a stretch. They cross rivers without hesitation. They swim between islands in lakes. Young calves begin swimming within days of their birth, guided by their mothers into the water, before they have had even a week to find their footing on land. The water is part of their inheritance. It is where they were always meant to go. In winter, when the lakes freeze and the aquatic plants are buried beneath ice, the moose's diet shifts. It turns to the bark and twigs of trees, willows, birches, aspens. It strips bark from their trunks with its teeth, working methodically, not urgently, the way you might work through a difficult task when you have already accepted that it will simply take the time it takes. The sound of a moose feeding in the winter forest is a soft, slow, tearing sound, almost peaceful. A sound that has been part of those forests for thousands of years. The word moose comes from the Algonquian language, from a word that meant something like the animal that strips bark from trees. The people who named the moose named it for what it did. They watched it working in the winter forest, and they gave it a name that described its life. There is something grounding about that. A name earned through careful observation, passed down through generations, still in use today. In the same northern forests where those first observations were made. Indigenous peoples across North America have lived alongside moose for thousands of years. Moose were and are a vital source of food, of hide for clothing and shelter, of bone for tools. Their significance runs far deeper than utility. In the oral traditions of many nations, the moose appears as a teacher, as a spirit, as a being whose patience and power hold lessons that the human world does well to pay attention to. The moose has been a quiet presence in these stories for as long as the stories have existed. Long before there were words written down, before there were maps, there were people sitting in the dark telling each other about the moose. The moose's nose is one of its most distinctive features. It is large, extraordinarily large, pendulous almost. The nose overhangs the lower jaw in a way that looks, to human eyes, almost comical. But it is no accident and no joke. That large nose is packed with sensory cells. A moose can smell water from a great distance. It can detect a predator through the wind from more than a mile away. Its sense of smell is to it what our vision is to us, the primary way it reads the world around it. When a moose lifts its head and scents the air, it is reading a whole paragraph of information that we would never be able to access. The moose's ears are remarkable too. They are large and cupped and highly mobile. They swivel independently of each other, each one tuning to a different direction, like two radios searching different frequencies at the same time. A moose can hear sounds across a very wide range. It can detect the footsteps of a wolf moving through snow, at a distance most of us would find difficult to believe. In the forest, silence is not silence. It is information. The moose knows how to read it. Their eyes are set on the sides of their head, giving them a wide field of vision. They can see almost 360 degrees around them, without having to turn their heads. But their forward binocular vision, the depth-perceiving vision that most predators rely on, is more limited. The moose trades depth perception for breadth. It trades focus for awareness. It is built for a different kind of seeing than we are. Not better, not worse. Simply different, shaped by a different life. Moose communicate with each other in ways that are easy to miss if you are not paying attention. During the breeding season, called the rut, which happens in autumn, bull moose produce a sound called a grunt or a roar, a low, resonant call that carries through the trees. Cows call back. Their call is different, longer, more drawn out, a wavering sound that drifts through the forest and seems almost to come from everywhere at once. These sounds have been part of the northern forest soundscape for so long that other animals have learned to read them. Wolves know what a moose call means. Ravens know. The whole forest attends to those sounds. Outside of the rut, moose are largely solitary animals. They do not form herds the way elk or caribou do. They move alone through their home ranges, browsing and resting and moving on. A moose's home range can be quite large, sometimes more than 100 square miles, though most daily movement is much more contained. A moose can cover 10 miles in a day, without any sense of hurry. Walking is what it does, moving slowly through the world, eating as it goes, covering ground in a steady, unhurried way that looks almost like thought. Moose can move very fast when they need to. Their long legs carry them at speeds up to 35 miles per hour in short bursts. That is faster than most people expect from an animal that moves so slowly most of the time. But they do not need to run fast very often. Their size is their protection. Adult moose have few natural predators. Wolves will prey on them, particularly in winter when the deep snow slows the moose down. Bears will occasionally prey on calves. Mountain lions, in some regions, will try. But an adult moose in full health is a dangerous proposition for any predator. Those hooves, that weight, that absolute unwillingness to be small. Wolves and moose have been in relationship for a very long time. They shape each other. The wolves keep the moose moving, prevent them from overgrazing any one area, select the weakest and oldest individuals over time. And the moose, simply by existing in such numbers and eating what they eat, shape the forest that the wolves move through. This is called a trophic cascade. When large animals eat plants, they change what the forest looks like. And when predators hunt those large animals, they change how and where those animals eat. The whole forest is a conversation between these creatures, happening over centuries, slower than any single life could witness. On Isle Royale, a small island in Lake Superior, scientists have studied wolves and moose together for more than 60 years. It is one of the longest continuous wildlife studies in the world. The two populations, trapped together on an island, have cycled up and down together in a long, slow dance. When the wolves were few, the moose grew numerous. When the moose grew numerous, the wolves grew stronger. When the wolves grew stronger, the moose were reduced. And so it turned. Year after year, decade after decade. A long, slow breath, in and out, between predator and prey. Moose calves are born in spring, usually in May or June. A cow typically gives birth to one calf, though twins are not uncommon in areas where food is plentiful. A newborn moose calf is already large by most standards. It can weigh 25 to 35 pounds at birth, and it can stand within hours. It must. The world is full of things that would like to eat it. Within a day or two, the calf is following its mother through the forest, learning the shape of the world through her movements. It is still trembling on its new legs. It is still figuring out how to be a moose. But it is already walking, already trying. The mother is fiercely attentive during these early weeks. She barely sleeps. She keeps herself between her calf and the tree line. She reads the wind constantly, checking, rechecking, never fully relaxing. If you come across a moose calf in the wild and the mother is not immediately visible, do not assume it has been abandoned. She is almost certainly nearby, watching, scenting the air, waiting to see what you will do. Calves grow with remarkable speed. By the time the first winter comes, a moose calf can weigh 300 to 400 pounds. It has gone from a wobbly, rusty-colored newborn to something the size of a large horse in less than 1 year. The energy required for that growth is enormous. The mother's milk is rich and fatty. far richer than cow's milk, and the calf nurses frequently through its first months, before beginning to eat solid vegetation alongside its mother. They spend their first year close together, the cow and her calf, moving through the same forest, eating from the same willows, standing in the same streams. Then, the following spring, when the new calf is about to be born, the cow drives her yearling away. Not violently, not with anger, simply with persistence. She refuses to let it follow her any longer. She turns away from it. She moves on. And the young moose, bewildered at first, begins to wander on its own for the first time. It is about a year old. It knows how to find water. It knows what to eat. It knows the shape of winter. It goes. Into the trees, alone. Male moose, during the autumn rut, behave differently from how they behave the rest of the year. All that patience and calm, all that slow and deliberate moving through the world, seems to set aside during those few weeks. Bull moose become restless. They urinate in shallow depressions in the ground, called wallows, and then lie in them, coating themselves in the scent. They rub their antlers against trees. They spar with other males, pressing antlers against antlers, testing strength and resolve. Most of these confrontations end without serious injury. The weaker animal simply steps back. It reads the moment. It chooses. The sound of two bull moose with locked antlers pushing against each other in the half-dark of an autumn forest is a sound that carries. A deep, woody crashing, slow and rhythmic. Not frantic. Even combat, for the moose, has a certain stillness about it. A certain gravity. They are not angry. They are simply testing something, seeing what they are made of. After the rut, the bulls go quiet again. They return to their solitary lives. They eat. They rest. They rebuild their strength for winter. Their antlers fall away. The forest is quiet. And for a few months, the moose is just itself again, unhurried, enormous, alone, moving through the snow like a thought that has nowhere urgent to be. Moose are built for cold in ways that go beyond their hollow fur. Their legs have a special arrangement of blood vessels, called a countercurrent heat exchange system. Warm blood flowing down from the body into the legs passes very close to cold blood flowing back up from the feet. The warm blood heats the cold blood. The cold blood cools the warm blood. The result is that the moose's core stays warm, while its legs and feet stay cold. A moose standing in freezing water does not feel that cold in its core, only at the edges. The body has arranged itself to protect what matters most, to surrender what it can afford to lose, and to keep the center warm. Interestingly, moose struggle more with heat than with cold. Their large bodies, designed to retain warmth, have difficulty shedding it in warm weather. When summer temperatures rise above about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, moose become stressed. They seek shade. They wade into lakes and streams. They move at night rather than during the day. Climate change has been making summer harder for moose across much of their range. In some areas, moose populations have declined significantly, as winters have become shorter and summers longer. The cold, which we tend to think of as the enemy of living things, is for the moose something closer to a friend. Ticks are another growing challenge for moose. Winter ticks, small parasites that latch onto the moose's skin, have always been a part of life in the northern forests. But with milder winters, the ticks are surviving in greater numbers. A single moose can carry tens of thousands of ticks at once. The itching drives them to rub against trees, scratching off their own fur in patches. A heavily infested moose develops what is called ghost moose syndrome, a pale, patchy appearance as the fur comes away, the moose rubbing itself raw against the bark. They grow weak. They grow thin. The winter that was once their shelter becomes not long enough to kill the things that are slowly killing them. This is not something to be afraid of in the dark of a sleepy night. It is simply the world being the world, complicated and shifting, as it always has been. Moose have been through difficult periods before. They are, after all, very old animals. Their ancestors were here before us, long before. And there is something in them, some quality of endurance, that makes it hard to imagine the world without them. The fossil record shows us that moose-like animals have existed for several million years. They evolved in Eurasia and spread across the land bridge that once connected Asia and North America, during periods when sea levels were lower than they are today. The animals that crossed that bridge were walking from one world to another, not knowing it, not knowing they were crossing a boundary. There was simply more land ahead, and they walked into it. Some ancient relatives of the modern moose were even larger. Savalsis scotti, sometimes called the stag moose, lived in North America until about 11,000 years ago. It was comparable in size to the modern moose, though with more complex antlers that branched in more intricate ways, like an older and more elaborate version of what moose still carry today. Another ancient relative, Megaloceros, sometimes called the Irish elk, though it was neither exclusively Irish nor technically an elk, had antlers spanning up to 12 feet across. 12 feet, wider than most rooms. Imagine that weight on your head, and imagine carrying it quietly, through a forest, in the cold. Megaloceros went extinct around 7,000 to 8,000 years ago, probably a combination of climate change and human hunting pressure. The world thinned out its great animals one by one. The mammoths, the giant ground sloths, the glyptodonts, the stag moose. Some of them are deeply gone, so far into the past that we know them only from bones in the earth. But the moose survived. The moose came through. Perhaps it was the cold that saved them. Perhaps it was those places too difficult for early people to live in. Perhaps it was simply something in the moose, some quality of patience, some unwillingness to be easily gone. Moose hooves are large and wide, almost like paddles at the ends of those long legs. In soft ground or snow, they spread outward as the moose puts its weight down, increasing the surface area and distributing the moose's enormous weight. This is the same principle behind snowshoes. The moose invented the snowshoe, in a manner of speaking, millions of years before any human tied one to their foot. On the back of each hoof is a small dew claw, a vestigial toe, that also spreads out and helps with traction in mud or soft ground. The moose is, among other things, an excellent walker. Those hooves are also weapons. A moose defending itself strikes with its front legs, driving its hooves downward with tremendous force. The hoof is hard and sharp at the edges. A single strike from a moose's front leg can injure a wolf seriously, or kill a dog. This is why people are warned to keep their distance. The moose does not look dangerous. It moves slowly. It is calm. It seems indifferent. And then, if you push it, you understand very quickly that calm is not the same as harmless. The two things are very different. Moose have a structure on their throats called a bell or a dewlap, a loose flap of skin and fur that hangs beneath the chin and neck. Scientists are not entirely certain of its function. Some believe it plays a role in communication, spreading scent during the rut. Others think it may have a role in thermoregulation. Still others think it may be a secondary sexual characteristic, something that signals age and health to potential mates, the way bright colors do in birds. The truth may be all of these things at once, or something we have not thought of yet. The moose carries its mysteries with the same equanimity. It carries everything else. Moose can see in low light much better than humans can. Their eyes are large and contain a high proportion of rod cells, which are the photoreceptors responsible for detecting dim light. A moose can navigate the forest at night with ease, moving through darkness that would have you putting your hands out in front of you. The nocturnal world is as clear to them as the daylight world is to us. At night, when the forest is darkest and the quiet is deepest, the moose is perhaps most at home. There is a layer behind the retina in the moose's eye called the tapetum lucidum. It acts like a mirror, reflecting light that has already passed through the retina back through it again. This doubles the chance of the eye catching what dim light is available. It is the same structure that makes a cat's eyes glow in headlights. In moose, this layer is particularly well developed. If you shone a light on a moose in the dark, those large, soft eyes would glow back at you, softly orange or green, like two embers floating in the dark between the trees. Moose have a remarkable memory for their landscape. They learn the territory they inhabit in fine detail, where the good willows grow, where the sheltered hollows are in winter, where the deep mud offers relief from insects in summer. They return to the same areas year after year, navigating by landmarks and memory with a precision that suggests an inner map, a felt knowledge of place. That is as much of the body as it is of the mind. Seasonal migration is a feature of moose life in many areas. In mountainous regions, they move to higher elevations in summer and down to lower valleys in winter. In some areas, They follow traditional routes that may have been used by moose. For generations, the same trails worn soft by the hooves of thousands of moose, walking the same way, through the same forest, over many decades. Those paths are a kind of history, a record of lives moved through. The forest holds them quietly, the way old wood holds the shape of water. Ravens are frequent companions of moose, particularly in winter. They follow moose as they move through the snow, watching for what the moose might stir up or leave behind. Ravens and wolves have a well-documented relationship, but ravens and moose have one too, though quieter, less studied, conducted mostly in the cold, grey light of winter mornings. The raven perches in the spruce above the moose and watches. The moose seems to tolerate the attention. Perhaps it simply does not mind being watched. Perhaps it has always been watched. Bears and moose share territory across much of the northern world, and their relationship is complicated. Black bears and grizzly bears both prey on moose calves in the spring, and a moose cow knows this. When a bear appears near a moose with a young calf, the cow's response is direct and immediate. She places herself between the bear and her calf and makes her intentions clear. There are recorded instances of moose cows chasing bears up trees. The bear, 300 pounds of predator, climbing a tree to escape a moose. It is a reminder that the world does not always sort itself the way we expect it to. The relationship between moose and the forest they live in is not simply one of creature and habitat. It is one of mutual shaping. When moose eat willows and aspens along streams, they open up those riparian corridors, allowing sunlight to reach the water. This benefits fish. It benefits the insects the fish eat. It benefits the birds that eat the insects. The whole web tightens or loosens, depending on where and how the moose chooses to feed. The moose does not know this. It does not have a plan. It is simply eating, and the world changes around it. Moose droppings are also part of this. I know that is not a romantic image, but bear with me for a moment. Moose deposit enormous quantities of nutrient-rich dung throughout the forests and wetlands they inhabit. This fertilizes the plants. The plants grow more vigorously. Other animals benefit from the richer vegetation. The moose, simply by digesting its food and moving through the landscape, is improving the landscape. This is sometimes called ecosystem engineering, and the moose is one of its most quiet and unassuming practitioners. Moose can run quietly when they want to. For an animal of their size, they move through dense forest with something approaching stealth. Their long legs carry them over fallen logs and branches. Their large hooves find soft ground rather than cracking sticks. In thick brush, a moose can simply disappear. One moment you see it. The next moment, there are only trees. The forest closes behind it, as if it was never there at all. Moose tend to be most active at dawn and dusk, what wildlife biologists call the crepuscular hours. Those quiet in-between times, when the light is neither quite dark nor quite light, when the day is still making up its mind. During the middle of the day, moose often rest, lying down in the shade of conifers or in dense brush, chewing their cud. Yes, moose chew cud. They are ruminants, like cows, like deer. They have a stomach with 4 chambers, and food moves through those chambers slowly, fermented and rechewed and fermented again, extracting every bit of nutrition from the bark and twigs and leaves that most other animals could not digest at all. Watching a moose chew its cud is an exercise in calm. The jaw moves slowly. The eyes go soft. The ears drift to neutral. The whole animal seems to settle into itself. It looks, frankly, like it is asleep on its feet, still chewing. And perhaps that is not entirely wrong. Perhaps there is something meditative in that long, slow, rhythmic chewing. The body doing its work, while the mind goes quiet. Moose sleep lying down, though they also rest in a semi-standing state. Like horses, they have a special locking mechanism in their legs that allows them to rest standing up without falling over. But for deep sleep, they lie down, tucking their legs beneath their enormous bodies, sometimes with their neck stretched out along the ground. A sleeping moose is surprisingly vulnerable, which is why they choose resting spots carefully. Dense brush, sheltered hollows, places where they can hear approach from all directions. Even in sleep, the ears keep turning slowly. The nose keeps reading the air. The body rests, but the senses stay gently awake. We do not know exactly how long moose sleep. Sleep research in wild animals is difficult, but studies on captive moose suggest they may sleep around 5 to 6 hours a day, in scattered segments rather than one long continuous stretch. Their sleep cycles include periods of deep sleep and periods of lighter, more watchful rest. Even at the bottom of sleep, the moose is in some sense awake to the world around it. It cannot afford to be entirely absent. The world does not pause while you sleep in it. The lifespan of a moose in the wild is typically 8 to 12 years. Some individuals live longer, 15 years or more, in ideal conditions. In captivity, with access to veterinary care and consistent food, they have lived into their early 20s. But the wild is not an easy place, and most moose do not make it to old age quietly. Wolves catch the sick and the young and the exhausted. Harsh winters thin the old. Parasites weaken the unlucky. Life in the boreal forest is beautiful, and it is hard, and those two things are not in conflict. A moose that dies in the forest does not go to waste. The body is enormous, and an enormous body feeds an enormous number of things. Wolves eat first. Then ravens arrive. They seem to materialize from nowhere at the smell of meat. Foxes follow. Wolverines. Eagles. In summer, bears will drag a carcass to a sheltered spot and guard it, eating over many days. Beetles and flies work at what remains. Fungi decompose the bones. The calcium enters the soil. The trees take it up. A moose can feed a forest for years after it is gone. The moose's bones are heavy and dense, the bones of an animal that carries a great deal of weight. A moose skull is enormous, and a found moose skull is a remarkable object. The weight of it, the size, the rough socket of the pedicles where the antlers grew. To hold a piece of a moose is to hold something of the deep north in your hands. Something that spent its life in cold and dark and forest. Something that was, for a while, a living archive of everything the boreal had to offer. Moose antler sheds are found and collected throughout their range. Squirrels gnaw on them for the calcium. Porcupines chew them. Even mice will work at a shed antler over a winter, extracting minerals from the bone. Nothing stays long in the forest. Everything is borrowed and returned. Even the largest, most enduring seeming things are just pausing here for a while before going back into the ground. Moose in Scandinavia are sometimes called the king of the forest. Algons in Swedish, elg in Norwegian and Danish. They are deeply embedded in the cultural identity of those countries. In Sweden, the moose appears on road signs, on souvenir items, on the bottles of a famous Swedish schnapps. They are simultaneously wild and mundane, something that exists in the deepest forests, and also in the everyday visual language of a whole nation. They are part of how those places understand themselves. The forest would not be the same forest without the moose moving through it. In Russia, moose are called los, and the vast Siberian forests hold enormous populations of them. Russia has more moose than any other country on Earth. Estimates suggest somewhere around 600,000 or more. Canada is second, with perhaps 500,000. The United States, primarily in Alaska and the northern states, holds perhaps 300,000. These are rough estimates. Moose are difficult to count. They live in dense forest. They do not gather in groups. They are, as usual, keeping mostly to themselves. There have been attempts to domesticate moose. Seriously, and with some success. In Russia, there is a moose farm in the Kostroma region that has been breeding and milking moose since the 1950s. The moose there are largely tame. They come when called. They allow themselves to be milked. Moose milk is extraordinarily rich, much higher in fat than cow's milk, and was studied as a possible dietary supplement, particularly for people with digestive conditions. But milking a moose is a slow and difficult process, and the farm remains something of a curiosity, a place where the boundary between wild and tame has been quietly and carefully blurred. The idea of a tame moose is almost surreal. Something that large, that ancient, that deeply of the wild, walking up to a human for a gentle head scratch. There are stories from Scandinavia too, of orphaned moose calves raised by wildlife rehabilitators, who become so attached to their human caregivers that they follow them around like enormous, awkward dogs. The personality of a tame moose is described as curious, gentle, and occasionally stubborn. A word that feels right for an animal, that has survived everything the North has thrown at it. Moose have been depicted in human art for tens of thousands of years. In Norway, in Sweden, in Russia and Siberia, rock carvings and cave paintings show moose in silhouette, simple and unmistakable, with their long noses and humped shoulders. The oldest of these images may be more than 10,000 years old. 10,000 years of human hands reaching for the moose in paint or carved stone, trying to hold something of it still, to say, "I saw this. I was here with this. It mattered." There is a rock carving in Norway, in a place called Himmeluft, that shows a moose in profile, clean, elegant, deeply recognizable. A person who lived there 6,000 years ago stood in front of that rock face and scratched that image into the stone. That person had watched moose, had probably hunted moose, had probably eaten moose, worn its fur, used its bones for tools, and still found something in the moose worth making permanent. Worth pressing into rock with their hands in the cold. The moose has earned its place in the human imagination, many times over. In Finnish mythology, there is a creature called the Saavikjuono, a kind of spirit animal that takes the form of a great moose. In Sami cosmology, which is the indigenous culture of northern Scandinavia, the moose is deeply woven into the understanding of the natural world. The Sami people have lived alongside reindeer and moose for thousands of years, and their language reflects that closeness. There are many words in Sami for different kinds of moose. For the tracks moose leave in different types of snow, for the sound a moose makes in different seasons. To have words for a thing is to pay attention to it. To name its variations is to love it, in a way. Moose tracks in snow are large and distinctive. Each hoofprint is shaped like a pair of curved teardrops, side by side, and there is often a small round mark from the dew claws behind them. In fresh snow, they are clear and sharp-edged. As the snow ages and the temperature shifts, the edges blur. The print softens. Reading the age of a track in snow is a skill that takes years to develop, attending to tiny variations in the crust, in the shadow at the edge of the impression, in the way the snow has compacted differently in different parts of the print. Trackers speak of this as a kind of reading, and it is, in the truest sense. The snow is a page. The moose has left a sentence. There is a practice in some indigenous traditions of thinking about the relationship between a tracker and an animal, not as pursuit, but as conversation. You follow the tracks not to catch the animal, but to understand it, to enter into its experience of the landscape, to see what it saw, step by step, in the cold and the dark of the forest. The moose stopped here. Why? It turned its head to the right. What did it hear? It moved slowly through this section. Why here and not somewhere else? To ask these questions with genuine attention is a kind of intimacy with another mind. Moose are very good at disappearing into their environment. Their dark coloring blends into the shadowed interior of a spruce forest, in a way that is slightly uncanny given how large they are. They seem to absorb the dark around them. You can be looking directly at the tree line and not see the moose standing in it until it moves. And when it does move, when it steps out from among the trees into a clearing, the size of it is always a small shock. Not a frightening shock, a wondering kind of shock. Oh, there you are. Moose are very sensitive to human presence. In wilderness areas where they are rarely encountered, they may allow you to approach within a short distance before moving away. But in areas where they are regularly disturbed, near roads, near towns, near popular hiking trails, they have learned to keep a greater distance. They are learning about us constantly. The edge of their territory keeps shifting to accommodate how much space we take up. They are patient about it, the way large things tend to be patient, but they are watching. They are noting what we do. Urban moose are becoming more common in some places. In Anchorage, Alaska, moose regularly wander through residential neighborhoods, sleeping under porches, eating ornamental shrubs, crossing roads with slow and absolute certainty that the world should wait for them. The city has learned to accommodate them to some degree. Websites track moose sightings. Schools know to walk children around a moose, not past it. The moose and the city have reached a kind of uneasy coexistence, something that requires daily renegotiation on both sides. Moose and cars are a dangerous combination. In Scandinavia and Canada and Alaska, thousands of vehicle collisions with moose occur every year. The danger is not just from the collision itself. A moose's long legs mean that when it is struck by a car at speed, the car's hood goes under the moose's body. The animal's enormous bulk then comes down onto the windscreen. The legs that saved it from deep snow become a liability on a road at midnight. This is why those yellow road signs exist. The ones in northern countries with the silhouette of a moose, and why drivers who see them should take them seriously. In Sweden, researchers have worked on moose detection systems for cars and trains. Sensors that can detect the body heat of a large animal near the roadside and alert the driver before the moose steps into the beam of the headlights. The moose does not know about these systems. It is simply walking. It is crossing, as it always has, from one stand of trees to another, on a path it has taken many times before. The road is an interruption in a route that predates it by centuries. The moose has not adjusted. It is waiting, perhaps, for the interruption to go away. Hunting of moose has occurred wherever moose have lived. It is a deeply practical relationship. In the modern era, moose hunting is carefully managed in most of their range, with quotas and seasons designed to keep populations stable. Moose hunting is an important cultural event in many northern communities, in Scandinavia, in Canada, in Alaska, with traditions and rituals that go back many generations. The first moose a hunter takes is often treated as a significant moment, something to be honored and remembered. The meat feeds families, the hide is used. Very little is wasted. In these contexts, hunting is not separate from respect. It is a form of it. Moose meat is lean and rich and dark. It has been a critical food source for northern peoples for thousands of years. Before refrigeration, before canning, before any of the ways we now preserve food, a single moose in autumn could feed a family through winter. It could be smoked, dried, frozen in the natural cold. The fat rendered from a moose had its own uses: for waterproofing, for cooking, for skincare in the dry cold. The moose was not just food. It was a solution to the problem of surviving in a difficult place. A complete solution offered freely by the forest. There is something profound about a food source that requires such attentiveness. You cannot hunt moose carelessly. You have to understand wind direction. You have to know the terrain. You have to be patient in a real, physical way. Not metaphorically patient, but physically patient, standing still for hours in the cold, breathing slowly, not moving, not coughing, not snapping a twig underfoot. Hunting moose teaches you to inhabit your body differently. It teaches you to be present in a way that ordinary life rarely demands. The antlers of moose have many historical uses. Indigenous peoples across the boreal zone have used them for tools, for cutting edges, for handles, for needles. Early European settlers in North America used moose antler for a variety of purposes. In some Scandinavian folk traditions, moose antlers were hung outside barns and above door frames as protective symbols. The antlers, shed and found in the forest, were gifts the moose left behind without knowing it. The forest's version of generosity, leaving something useful on the ground for whoever comes next. Moose hair has been used in embroidery and decorative work by indigenous peoples for centuries. The guard hairs, the outer, coarser hairs of the moose's coat, can be dyed in various colors and used to create intricate patterns on clothing and objects. Moose hair tufting is a traditional art form that survives today as a living craft, taught from elder to student, practiced in communities across northern Canada. Each piece carries in it the hands that made it, and the creature that gave the material, and the long history of both of them together, in the cold. Moose hide, when properly prepared, is soft and strong and warm. Preparing it is a long and demanding process, involving scraping and stretching and smoking the hide to make it pliable and water-resistant. It was used for moccasins, for mittens, for robes, for the coverings of canoes. Moose hide moccasins would carry a person through a northern winter in ways that few other materials could match. There is something in that is almost difficult to hold in the mind, that the animal and the person were so entwined that the animal's skin became the person's protection from the cold. The sound a moose makes is not something most people have heard. They are, outside the rut, largely quiet animals. But they are not entirely silent. They grunt softly when calm, particularly between a cow and her calf. There is a murmuring quality to it, low, soft, almost subsonic. A sound you might feel in your chest before you hear it in your ears. A calf separated from its mother makes a sound that is heartbreakingly plaintive, high, wavering, urgent. And the mother answers it. She always answers it. She turns toward the sound and moves through the trees with purpose. Moose can make a sound called a throaty moan or bark when alarmed, a loud, sudden call that seems almost impossible from an animal that is otherwise so quiet. It startles. If you are near a moose when it makes this sound, your first instinct is to step back, quickly. And that instinct is correct. An alarmed moose is a moose that is about to make a decision, and the decision may not be to walk away. Moose have a certain presence that is difficult to describe. People who have stood near one in the wild often struggle to convey the experience. It is not fear, exactly. It is not awe, exactly. It is something in between those things. A strong awareness of scale, of weight, of age. You are aware, in a way you rarely are in daily life, that you are small, that the world you are standing in does not require you, that it was here before you and will be here after. The moose is a reminder of this. A large, dark, very patient reminder. And somehow this is not frightening. Or rather, it might be a little frightening, but underneath the fright, there is something that feels like relief. To be small in the presence of something very large and very old is to be released, briefly, from the burden of feeling like the most important thing in the room. The moose does not care about your worries. The moose does not know about your deadlines, your debts, your difficult conversation, the thing you are worried about tomorrow. The moose is standing in a forest, breathing, eating, moving slowly, being enormous and calm. And for a moment, in its presence, you can do the same. The world moose inhabit is a world of extremes. Temperatures in some parts of their range drop to -40 degrees in winter. The darkness of the far north in December is a darkness that lasts for most of the day. The sun barely clears the horizon, sliding along the tree line for a few hours, before sinking again. The moose moves through this darkness without complaint. It does not seem diminished by it. If anything, the dark seems to suit it. The moose is a creature of the northern dark, comfortable in the half-light, at home in the cold, moving steadily through a world that would be inhospitable to almost anything else. The northern lights sometimes appear above the forests where moose live. The aurora borealis, green and white and occasionally purple, rippling across the sky in slow curtains of light. Moose do not appear to respond to the northern lights. They continue eating or resting or simply standing, while above them the sky moves and shimmers. They have seen this before, or rather, it has moved above them before, and they did not need to do anything about it. The sky doing its slow, magnificent thing, and the moose below, steady, unremarkable, exactly where it is supposed to be. In some indigenous traditions of the far north, the northern lights are understood as spirits, the lights of the ancestors, the breath of those who came before. The moose, in some of these traditions, is also understood as carrying something of the ancestral world, a spirit too large and too old to be merely an animal. These are not beliefs I can evaluate from the outside, but I can say that there is something standing in the dark. Watching a moose stand motionless while lights move above it, that feels genuinely beyond the ordinary, beyond what words quite reach. The scientific name, alces, is a kind of repetition, a doubling, alces. It comes from the Greek alke, meaning strength, the strong one twice. It is not a very poetic name, but it is an honest one. The moose is strong in a particular way. Not the aggressive strength of a predator, but the enduring strength of something that has survived everything the world has asked of it, and keeps on going. The moose has survived ice ages. It survived the mass extinction event at the end of the Pleistocene that killed so many of the world's large animals. It survived the arrival of humans across its range. It survived the deforestation of the 19th century, the hunting pressure of the 20th, and it faces now the warming of the 21st century with the same slow equanimity it has brought to every other challenge. It is not certain the moose will be fine. Nothing is certain. But the moose has a long history of being fine when other things were not, and there is something reassuring in that. There is a poem by Marianne Moore about the moose, long and slow and dreamy, about a bus journey through the Canadian Maritimes, and a moose that appears at the roadside in the dark, enormous and safe-seeming. She writes about how the passengers fall quiet in its presence, how something in them settles, how the moose seems to offer, simply by existing, a kind of permission to stop being anxious for a moment. That poem is titled The Moose, and it is one of the few poems I know of that does justice to what it actually feels like to be stopped in your tracks by a wild animal. Moose can and do live in agricultural landscapes as well as wild ones. In some parts of Scandinavia and Canada, they move between forest and farmland, eating crops, trampling fences, causing the kind of low-grade friction that comes from two different kinds of life, trying to occupy the same land. Farmers deal with them. The moose are not malicious. They are simply following the food. A field of young winter grain must smell extraordinary to a moose in November. Warm, green, a gift in the cold. In some areas, moose populations have grown large enough to cause significant damage to forest regeneration. When moose are very numerous and there are few predators, they can browse young trees so intensively that forests struggle to renew themselves. This is a problem of balance, a problem that appears when one part of an ecosystem grows, without the others growing alongside it. The wolves and bears and hunters are not just predators. They are part of what keeps the moose from eating the world it lives in. In areas where wolves have been reintroduced, like parts of Scandinavia and the American West, moose behavior has shifted. They avoid certain areas where they used to feed. They stay in denser cover. They move more often, and the trees in those areas the moose now avoid begin to grow back. The rivers change shape because the restored bank vegetation holds the soil. The fish return because the water is cleaner and shadier. All of this because a few wolves made a moose slightly more nervous about standing in the open. Everything is connected. Everything touches. There is a concept in ecology called a keystone species. A keystone is the central stone of an arch. Remove it, and the arch collapses. A keystone species is one whose presence holds an entire ecosystem together in ways that are disproportionate to its actual numbers. The moose is sometimes considered a keystone species, not because it is the most dramatic creature in the forest, not because it commands attention, but because so many other things, the wolves, the ravens, the fungi, the trees, the fish, are shaped by what the moose does. Take the moose away, and the forest becomes a different forest. Less rich, less varied, less alive in its particular northern way. Let us take a small and quiet digression here. If you do not mind, I have been thinking, as I speak to you, about what it means to be a large thing in a world that is always changing. The moose does not resist the cold. It does not fight the dark. It does not struggle against the snow. It simply adjusts its body slightly, grows its coat a little thicker, moves a little slower when the drifts are deep, and keeps going. There is something in that I find genuinely calming, not as a life lesson, just as a fact, just as a thing that is true about the moose and interesting to hold in the mind for a moment. Moose populations fluctuate with the winters they experience. A deep winter with heavy snow and long cold can be hard on the old and the young. Moose will dig through snow to find vegetation, or paw at the packed snow of lake ice to reach the aquatic plants preserved beneath. But if the snow is too deep and too hard, and the temperatures too severe for too long, a moose can exhaust itself in the search for food. Wildlife managers in some areas provide winter supplemental feeding. Hay bales left at forest edges. Though this practice is controversial, because it can concentrate animals unnaturally and disrupt the patterns that would naturally select for stronger individuals. Moose in Alaska sometimes reach sizes that genuinely strain belief. The Alaskan moose, a subspecies called Alces gigas, is the largest subspecies in the world. A large bull Alaskan moose can weigh over 1,800 pounds and stand nearly 7.5 feet at the shoulder. Its antlers can span more than 6 feet from side to side. It is the largest member of the deer family, alive anywhere on Earth today. Standing next to one of these animals, if you could stand next to one safely, you would be looking up at its shoulder level. Its head, raised to full height, would be far above you. You would be, in that moment, very aware of your own smallness. The Shiraz moose, which is the subspecies found in the Rocky Mountains and the northern United States, is the smallest subspecies in North America. It is still very large. Even the smallest moose is a large animal, but it is smaller than its northern cousins, adapted to slightly different conditions: higher elevations, more variable terrain, the different rhythms of a Rocky Mountain season. Each subspecies carries within it the particular shape of the place it came from. The landscape writes itself into the body. Over many generations, you become what you live in. The Eastern Canadian moose, Alces americana, is the subspecies most likely to be seen in the Canadian Maritimes, in Quebec, in Ontario. These moose are known to Nova Scotians and New Brunswickers with a certain warmth. They appear at roadsides in the early morning. They appear in bogs. They appear in photographs on the walls of cabins and hunting lodges across those provinces. They are part of the texture of life in those places, as much as the tides and the fog and the smell of balsam fir in the rain. Moose are strong swimmers, as we have said, but they can also dive. They can submerge completely in lakes to reach aquatic vegetation at the bottom, going several feet below the surface, then rising again to breathe. There is underwater footage of moose doing this, and it is one of the stranger and more hypnotic things you can watch. That enormous dark shape moving slowly through the green underwater world, its long legs trailing, its nose closed, perfectly at ease in a world where nothing about its size suggests it should be comfortable. Aquatic plants are particularly important to moose in summer because they are rich in sodium. Sodium, salt, is scarce in the boreal diet. Moose need it and actively seek it out. They will travel to natural salt licks, mineral springs, even the salted edges of roads in winter, where road crews have spread salt to melt the ice. A moose licking salt from a winter road is a genuinely moving image. In a way, this enormous, ancient, self-sufficient animal, needing something as simple as salt, and finding it at the edge of a human road in the dark. A deficiency of sodium in summer can cause a condition called hyponatremia in moose, leading to weakness and disorientation. Their craving for aquatic plants is, at least in part, the body's direct request for what it needs. The moose's preferences are not arbitrary. They are mapped by necessity. What it wants and what it needs are the same thing. There is a simplicity in that we might look at quietly for a moment before moving on. Moose gut microbiome is a subject of current scientific interest. The four-chambered stomach we mentioned earlier is home to a vast community of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, that work together to break down the cellulose in bark and woody vegetation. Without this community, the moose could not digest most of what it eats. The moose is not, in this sense, a singular creature. It is a community, a walking ecosystem. The microorganisms in its gut have their own lives, their own relationships with each other, their own dependence on the moose surviving. The moose, in turn, is entirely dependent on them. Every large body is, in some sense, a world. When moose are ill, the changes in their gut microbiome can often be detected before other symptoms appear. Scientists are using this knowledge to develop better monitoring methods for wild moose populations, looking for early signs of stress or disease through the biology of the microbiome rather than waiting for visible symptoms. The moose's interior world is as complex and dynamic as the forest it walks through. And in understanding one, we come closer to understanding the other. Moose calves learn through imitation. They watch their mothers closely in the first year of life. They watch where she goes to find willows. They watch how she reads the wind. They watch her behavior when she is alert. The stiffening, the raised head, the one foot lifted slightly. And they respond in kind, mimicking the posture before they fully understand what has caused it. This is how moose culture, if we can call it that, is transmitted. Not through language, not through instruction, through careful watching and patient imitation, and the long, slow accumulation of experience. It has been found that female moose often pass on the knowledge of their home ranges to their daughters. A female calf, even after she has been driven away at yearling age, often establishes a home range that overlaps with or is adjacent to her mother's. She lives near where she was born. She knows that land. She knows it in her body. The knowledge of a place passes down through the female line. Generation after generation after generation, the same stand of willows by the same bend in the same river, known and used and returned to. Male calves, once driven away, tend to disperse more widely. They move into unfamiliar territory. They find new ranges. They take risks their mothers would not have approved of. This dispersal is important genetically. It prevents inbreeding, spreads genes across a wide landscape, ensures that no single family group becomes too isolated. The wandering of the young bull is, from the forest's perspective, exactly what needs to happen. It is not aimless. It is functional. It is necessary. Even directionless seeming wandering has its purpose. Moose have been moved and reintroduced in various places, where they were once extirpated or locally extinct. In Colorado, moose were reintroduced in the 1970s and 80s, and the population has since grown to several thousand animals. They are now seen throughout the higher elevations of the state, wading in mountain lakes, browsing in willow thickets, blocking hiking trails with the sublime indifference of creatures that do not understand that they are supposed to step aside. Every return of a species to a landscape it once inhabited is a quiet kind of repair. A thread rewoven, something put back that was taken away. Moose are not the best studied animals in the world. They live in remote places. They are not easily observed up close without disturbance. Much of what we know about them comes from tracking, from GPS collars, from aerial surveys in winter, from the patient work of researchers who spend years in the northern forests, piecing together what the moose does with its days. There is something fitting about this. The moose does not wish to be too well understood. It keeps itself, as it always has, slightly out of reach, just past the next stand of trees, just ahead of full clarity. What we do know is enough to make the moose feel genuinely extraordinary. And I keep coming back to that word extraordinary. But I want to mean it in its quiet sense, not the kind of extraordinary that demands your attention or insists on its own impressiveness. The quiet kind, the kind that exists whether or not you are looking. The moose standing at the frozen lake at 3 in the morning, when no one is watching. The moose walking through the deep forest in the dark of February, where no human being has been in months. The moose just being a moose in a forest, in the cold, without any audience at all. That is, perhaps, the most comforting thing about the moose. That it does not need you to witness it. The world does not need you to witness it in order to continue being extraordinary. It goes on anyway. The lakes freeze and thaw. The willows grow back in spring. The moose calves are born. The antlers rise and fall. The wolves circle. The ravens follow. And somewhere in the deep boreal forest, right now, tonight, while you are lying here listening to this, a moose is standing in the dark, breathing slowly, eating something, or simply standing. Just that, just standing. It has done this for millions of years. It will do it after us, most likely. The boreal forest is resilient. The moose is resilient. The dark at the top of the world is very patient and has room for a great many things that do not need to be loud to matter. We are very near the end now. Though really, there is no end to the moose. Only to this particular conversation about it. And conversations always have more to them than can be said in a single sitting. There are things about moose we did not get to. The parasites that travel with them, the details of how they regulate body temperature, the precise chemistry of the velvet that feeds those growing antlers. There are things that science has not figured out yet. There are things, perhaps, that science never will. The moose, after everything, keeps some things to itself. And perhaps that is fine. Perhaps something does not need to be fully understood, to be fully appreciated. Perhaps it is enough to know that there are vast forests, and within them these enormous, patient, ancient animals, moving slowly through the dark, eating willows, breathing cold air, raising their calves in the green warmth of spring, and letting the winter come, and letting the winter go, and carrying on, year after year, in the dark and the cold and the deep north, just carrying on. I hope your body is heavy now. I hope your breathing has slowed. If you have not closed your eyes yet, let them close now, gently. There is nothing you need to see. The room is quiet. The world outside is doing what it does, with or without your attention. The moose are in their forests. The wolves are resting. The ravens have settled in the spruce. The snow is doing whatever snow does. In the middle of the night, everything is where it is supposed to be. Everything is going as it is meant to go. And you are here, warm, still, breathing. Let the images go softly now. The moose at the frozen lake, the antlers against the grey winter sky, the calf in the spring forest, still learning how to walk. The northern lights moving above the trees, the big dark eyes catching the last light of a winter afternoon. Let them all drift away now, the way the breath drifts away, slow and without effort, into the quiet. The moose is still there, somewhere in its forest, enormous and patient, breathing in the cold. It does not need you to hold it in your mind. It will be there when morning comes. It will be there long after that. And right now, all you need to do is rest. Just rest. Let everything be still. Let the dark be soft and good around you. Let sleep come, the way winter comes in the north, quietly, gradually, without announcement, until it is simply here. But wait, we are not quite done. There is still more to say about the moose. There is always more to say. And tonight, there is no hurry. So let us keep going, slowly, the way the moose itself moves, unhurried through the trees. Just a little further into the dark, a little deeper into the forest. One of the quieter facts about moose is that they are fundamentally solitary, and yet the landscape holds evidence of their presence everywhere. You can walk through a boreal forest in the middle of January and never see a single moose, but the signs of them are all around you. The stripped bark on a young birch, the bed of pressed down snow where one lay last night, the wide, flat hoof prints leading away between the spruces. The places where the snow has been poured aside to reveal the frozen grass beneath. The moose has been here. The moose has moved through here. It has left its life written in the snow, for anyone who cares to read it. This is part of what naturalists mean when they speak about reading a landscape. The landscape is always a record of what has happened in it. The broken branch, the chewed willow, the muddied pool where something stood. Every living thing writes its life into its environment, and that writing persists for days or weeks or years after the animal has moved on. To walk in the forest is to read a library written in a language that takes a lifetime to learn. And even then, there are things that remain unclear, things the forest keeps. A moose in summer has a very different feel to a moose in winter. The summer moose is leaner in appearance, its coat thinner and sometimes a little ragged as it sheds. It moves differently, more slowly in the heat, seeking shade and water. It is surrounded by insects in summer. Black flies, deer flies, horse flies that torment it relentlessly. You can see a summer moose shaking its huge head, flapping its enormous ears, wading into a lake, just to put water between itself and the biting world. The lake in summer is refuge. The cool dark below the surface is quiet. Down there, the flies cannot reach it. Down there, it can close its nose and be briefly, completely still. The winter moose feels older somehow. The thick coat gives it a gravity that the leaner summer animal does not quite have. It moves with more deliberateness. Every step in deep snow costs energy, and the winter moose knows this. Or rather, its body knows this, and so it does not waste steps. It moves from one place of value to another, from the willow thicket to the resting hollow, to the south-facing slope where the snow is shallower. Each movement is purposeful in a way that is visible even from a distance. Even from the far side of a frozen lake, watching through binoculars, you can sense the economy of the winter moose, the deliberateness, the care. The stamina of moose in deep winter is a subject of genuine wonder to those who study them. In particularly deep snow years, moose will remain in one small area for weeks at a time, barely moving, conserving energy, eating what is available in the immediate vicinity. Their metabolism slows. Their heart rate drops. They go into a kind of extended torpor, not quite hibernation, because they remain awake and responsive, but something like a deep energy-saving mode. The body choosing, wisely, to do as little as possible until the season changes. To wait, to endure, to simply be, very quietly, until spring comes. And spring does come. It always comes. In the boreal forest, it comes later than you might expect. Sometimes not until May, sometimes a little earlier, depending on the year and the latitude. It comes first as a smell, a warmth in the air that has nothing to do with temperature yet, a quality. Then the days grow perceptibly longer. The angle of the light changes. The snow begins to lose its structural integrity, going wet and heavy at the surface. The moose steps through the crust rather than on top of it now, sinking in up to its knee with each step, but it does not seem frustrated by this. It simply adjusts. It lifts its legs higher. It finds the places where the crust is firmer. It keeps moving. The first green things of spring, the catkins on the willows, the tips of the rushes pushing up through ice at the lake edge, are eaten immediately. The moose moves toward them with something that might almost be eagerness. After months of bark and dead stems, the first green vegetation of the year must taste extraordinary. Vivid, alive, full of the things the body has been slowly running short of through the cold months. The moose eats the spring as it arrives, following the green north, moving up the hillsides as the snow line retreats, always chasing the new growth, always eating the thing that just became available. The antlers of the bull moose begin growing again in spring. Small at first, just 2 dark nubs on the skull, soft and sensitive, covered in the dark velvety skin that will feed them for the next several months. They grow so fast that if you could sit and watch one for long enough, you might, on a good day, see them move. Not quickly, not like watching a plant grow, but something like that. A slow, visible swelling, a reaching outward. The antlers claim their space in the world, a little more each day. By summer, they will be enormous. By autumn, they will be weapons. And then, by winter, they will be gone again. The whole rhythm of the moose's year is a study in letting go. In spring, it lets go of the coat it spent all autumn growing. In winter, it lets go of its antlers. In autumn, it lets go of the greenness of summer. Each season, it arrives at the next, slightly different, slightly rewritten, still fundamentally itself. The moose does not mourn what it sheds. Or if it does, it mourns briefly and quietly, and then gets on with living. There is no time for prolonged mourning when winter is coming. Let me tell you something about the moose's relationship with water that I find endlessly soothing to think about. Moose spend a great deal of time in water during the summer months. Not just wading to eat, simply standing in it. Standing in a cool lake on a hot July afternoon, up to their bellies in the dark water, the flies kept somewhat at bay by the breeze off the surface, the coolness of the water rising through those long legs and into the body. They are not doing anything in particular. They are just standing there, being in the water, letting the lake be the lake, and the moose be the moose, and not needing anything more from the moment than what the moment has. There is a word in Japanese, Shinrin-yoku, that means forest bathing. The practice of simply being in a forest, not doing anything in particular, just allowing the forest to be around you. Research has shown that spending time in forests reduces cortisol levels, lowers blood pressure, improves mood. The forest does something to us that is difficult to fully account for in rational terms. The moose does Shinrin-yoku. It does not have a name for it. It does not need a name for it. It simply lives in the forest and allows the forest to be around it all the time, every day, without a second thought. Scientists have begun to study the effects of nature sounds on human sleep. The sound of wind in trees, the sound of water, the sound of birds in the early morning. These sounds, researchers have found, help the nervous system down-regulate. They signal safety. They signal that the world is as it should be. There are no alarms in the sound of wind in trees. There is no urgency in the sound of a lake at dawn. The brain, which is ancient and animal in its deep structure, recognizes these sounds as the sounds of a world that is not threatening and begins to let go. The moose lives inside those sounds. The wind in the spruce is its ambient noise. The creak of ice in the lake is its lullaby. The sound of its own hooves in the snow is a sound it has been hearing all its life. All of this, all of these quiet sounds. Register to the moose as home, as ordinary, as the unremarkable backdrop of just being alive, in the place where you have always lived. The boreal forest itself is one of the great stores of carbon on Earth. The trees, the peat bogs beneath them, the soil itself, all of it holds carbon that took thousands of years to accumulate. The boreal is second only to the tropical rainforest in the amount of carbon it stores. It is a vault, a slow, quiet, frozen vault, holding within it something of the ancient atmosphere, the air of older centuries, pressed down into peat and wood and soil. The moose moves through this vault every day, without knowing it is there. It walks above ancient carbon. It breathes air that the forest has made. It is part of the system that keeps that carbon stored. Protecting the boreal forest is, in this way, connected to protecting the moose. And protecting the moose, ensuring its populations are healthy, that its predators are present, that the landscape it shapes is not disrupted, is, in turn, connected to the health of the forest. You cannot separate the parts from each other. The moose is not a tenant in the boreal forest. It is a co-author of it. Every one of its acts, eating, wandering, dying, being born, shapes the text of that forest in ways that will outlast it. There are conservation concerns for moose across their range. Climate change, as we touched on, is probably the most significant. Warmer summers stress them. Milder winters allow more ticks to survive. The northern forest is shifting. The tree line is moving northward and upward. The mix of species is changing. The world the moose evolved in is becoming, slowly, a slightly different world. The moose is adapting. It is always adapting. But adaptation takes generations, and the world is changing faster now than it has in a long time. There are also concerns about habitat fragmentation. Roads, logging operations, mining development. These things cut the continuous forest into smaller and smaller pieces. A moose needs a large range. When that range is interrupted by a highway or cleared by logging, the animal must make choices it was not designed to make. It must decide whether to cross the road. It must navigate a landscape that makes no evolutionary sense to it. Many do. Moose are more adaptable than we sometimes give them credit for. But adaptability has limits. Every species does. Every patient thing eventually reaches the edge of what it can adjust to. There is hope in this story, though. There is always hope, if you look for it. Conservation efforts for moose and their habitats are active across their range. In Canada and Sweden and Finland and Russia, researchers and wildlife managers work to understand and support moose populations. There are people who spend their careers in the cold, following moose, tracking moose, collaring moose, trying to understand what the moose needs, so that the moose can keep doing what it does. These people love the moose. You can tell from the way they speak about it, that they love it. Not sentimentally, practically, with the informed and detailed love of someone who has spent years in the cold, paying attention. And beyond the researchers, there are ordinary people across the northern world who love the moose in a quieter, more everyday way. The people who drive slowly in moose country at dusk. The people who know to give a cow with a calf a wide berth. The people who have watched a moose for an hour at the edge of a lake and come away feeling, oddly, better. There is a large and quiet community of moose watchers in the world. People who know the feeling of holding their breath as a moose steps from the trees into the light, and the particular quality of silence that follows a moose sighting as you both go your separate ways. The moose, I think, does not mind being watched. Or rather, it minds being approached, but observation from a respectful distance seems to register as simply part of the world. The world watches the moose. It always has. From the wolves and the ravens and the bears, to the rock carvers of Norway 10,000 years ago, to the researchers in their GPS trucks today. The moose has always been watched. And it has always, quietly and completely, gone about its life regardless. That is something I find deeply and genuinely restful to consider. The moose does not perform. It does not manage its image. It does not adjust its behavior for the people watching. It is simply what it is, very completely and without apology, in every moment. Enormous, dark, patient, alive in the cold, taking up exactly the space it takes up, and asking for nothing about it. We talk sometimes about authentic living, as though it was something we could achieve through effort. The moose does not try to be authentic. It could not be otherwise. It has no capacity for performance, no ability to imagine a different version of itself, and wonder whether it ought to become that. It is just a moose. Just this moose. In this forest, in this cold, doing what a moose does. There is a kind of perfection in that. Not a human perfection, not an achieved or effortful one, but something quieter, something that was always already there. The relationship between humans and moose has not always been harmonious. There are places where moose have been overhunted. There are places where their habitat has been destroyed without thought for them. In the 19th century, moose populations in parts of North America and Scandinavia were severely reduced by hunting and habitat loss. They recovered when protections were put in place. This tells us something useful. The moose wants to be here. Given even a little space, given even a partial protection, it comes back. The forest comes back with it. The whole system restores itself, if it is allowed even a little time to breathe. The patience of the natural world is something we consistently underestimate. We see it as fragile. And in some ways it is fragile. But in other ways it is enormously, stubbornly persistent. The moose was reduced and came back. The wolf was extirpated across much of its range and is slowly returning. The forests that were cut have been, in many places, growing back. The world is not waiting for our permission to heal. It is healing anyway, wherever we give it room, with the same slow, patient, unhurried thoroughness that the moose brings to everything it does. The Cree word for moose is moss. Short, clean, one syllable, like the sound a river makes moving over a shallow stone. The word sits in the mouth gently. Moss. The Ojibwe word is moz. Similar. Both of these root words likely became, through the shifting of language over centuries, the English word moose. Language moving from one people to another, carrying the name of the creature with it, so that even in English, there is something of the original observation embedded in the word. Moose, the animal that strips bark, or the animal of the deep water, or simply the large, patient, dark thing in the forest. There are children growing up right now in the boreal zone, in small communities in northern Canada, in Lapland, in Siberia, for whom moose are simply part of the world. Not exotic, not remarkable, just there. Present in the way that the weather is present, the way the trees are present, the way the dark of winter and the light of summer are present. These children will grow up knowing the particular sound of moose moving through the brush behind the houses, knowing what to do when you encounter one on the trail to school, knowing the shape of moose tracks in every different kind of snow. The moose will be woven into their sense of what the world is, the same way rivers and mountains are woven into the worldview of people who grow up near them. I think about these children sometimes, the ones who will grow up knowing moose, as neighbors rather than as marvels. And I think that is a gift, a specific, irreplaceable kind of gift, to have something that large and that ancient simply be part of ordinary life. To have the extraordinary be ordinary. To see a moose on the way to school and think, mildly, oh, there is a moose, and keep walking. There is something in this, too, that speaks to how perspective shapes experience. To a child in Toronto or London or Tokyo, a moose would be an event, a story, something to photograph and share and tell people about for weeks. To a child in northern Ontario or northern Sweden, it is Tuesday. Neither perspective is wrong. Both are seeing the same moose, but the relationship to it, the weight it carries in the imagination, the space it takes up in the mind, these are entirely different. And perhaps both kinds of seeing are necessary. The wonder of the stranger, the ease of the neighbor. The moose deserves both. The ecological history of any landscape is a layered thing. You are never looking at what it is now, without looking also, through it, at what it was. The forest you see today was different forest 100 years ago, and different again 1,000 years ago, and different still 10,000 years ago. Species have come and gone. Rivers have shifted their courses. Lakes have formed and dried and formed again. The moose has moved through all of these landscapes, sometimes more numerous than today, sometimes less, adapting as the forest itself adapted, tracking the changes, finding its way through, always finding its way through. Some of the oldest moose bones found in archaeological digs in Scandinavia are nearly 12,000 years old. These are bones from animals that lived just after the last ice age, when the glaciers had retreated and the tundra was only beginning its long, slow transformation into forest. The first trees were just arriving: birches, willows, small and wind-bent and brave, and the first moose were following them north. Following the food, following the green, just as they still do today, just as they will tomorrow. Those early post-glacial moose would not have looked dramatically different from the moose alive right now. Perhaps slightly different in proportion, perhaps slightly larger or smaller, depending on the conditions, but recognizably, unmistakably, a moose. That long nose, those enormous ears, the humped shoulder, the pendulous bell. The moose has found a form that works, and has not departed from it in 12,000 years. That is a kind of confidence that is hard to imagine from the outside. To simply be what you are, without revision, for 12,000 years, and still be here, still walking through the trees. We are creatures of constant revision. We change our ideas, our appearances, our habits, our beliefs, sometimes in ways that feel like growth, and sometimes in ways that feel like we are simply moving from one small distraction to the next. The moose does not revise. It is what it was. The cold is still cold. The willows are still willows. The way to survive winter is the same way it has always been. There is no new information that changes the fundamental approach. And so, the moose does not change its fundamental approach. This, in the quiet of a winter narration, feels like wisdom, or at least like something worth resting beside for a moment. I want to spend a moment on the sound of the forest where the moose lives, because it is a sound you might recognize, if not from experience, then from somewhere deeper than experience. The boreal forest in winter is one of the quietest places on Earth. Sound is absorbed by snow. The tree canopy, sparse and dark, breaks the wind. Most animals have gone deep into their retreats. What remains is a silence so deep that it has texture, a silence with weight to it, a silence you can almost lean against. And into that silence, very occasionally, comes the sound of snow falling from a branch. A soft collapse, like someone letting out a slow breath in church. Or the far-off creak of a frozen tree trunk in the cold. Or the crunch of a moose hoof in the crust of the snow, steady and slow, moving away through the trees. This silence is alive. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but it is not. A living silence is different from an empty one. An empty silence is absence. A living silence is full of the things that are not making sound, full of the held breath of the world, full of the moose standing just past the tree line, full of the sleeping bears and the watching ravens and the slow, dark river running under its roof of ice. A living silence is the world, doing its work, very quietly, without asking you to watch, without needing you there at all. You are there anyway, listening. You are in the quiet right now, not in the boreal forest, perhaps, but in your own version of it. A room, a bed, a particular quality of darkness. And the silence around you is not empty. It is full of all the things that are not making noise right now. The walls of the building around you, the people nearby breathing in their sleep, the street outside, quieter now than it was an hour ago. The city or the countryside doing its nighttime things, in the slow, reduced way that nighttime allows. All of it present, all of it here, and you in the middle of it, breathing. The moose breathes in the cold. You breathe in the warm. These are not so different. In the end, breathing is breathing. The lungs expand and contract. The blood carries oxygen to all the far places of the body. The moose's enormous lungs take in enormous amounts of cold boreal air. Your lungs take in the air of your room, both of you doing the same essential thing, the most essential thing, without having to think about it. The body knows how to breathe. It has always known. You do not have to help it. You can let it do its work while you rest. Let your breath slow a little now, if it has not already. There is no effort required. Just let it be what it naturally is. When you stop trying to make it anything. Slow, even, a little deeper on the inhale, a little longer on the exhale. Like the moose's breath rising above the frozen lake, like steam in cold air, like something gentle, and very simply alive. Moose, do not worry. I know this sounds obvious. Animals do not worry in the way we do. They have concerns. Is there food? Is there a predator? Is the calf nearby? But they do not carry those concerns through time the way we do. The moose is not lying awake in a drift of snow tonight, worrying about things that might happen next month. It is simply in the moment it is in. If there is food nearby, it eats. If there is no food, it moves toward where food might be. If there is danger, it responds to the danger. If there is no danger, it rests. The present moment is the only moment the moose has, and it uses it fully and without distraction. We speak often of mindfulness, of being present, of not dwelling in the past, or projecting into the future. The moose is simply present, without practice, without effort, without a podcast or a course, or a teacher explaining the theory. The moose is present because it cannot be otherwise, because the cold demands it, because the dark demands it, because being here, fully here, in the only moment available, is what the boreal teaches. The boreal does not allow distraction. There is too much at stake. There is too much beauty. There is too much cold. And so we return, as we always do, to the body, to the breath, to the simple, unremarkable, quietly extraordinary fact of being alive somewhere right now. You are in a bed, or on a couch, or lying somewhere warm and dark. And the moose is in its forest. And the two of you are, in this one moment, resting. Both of you warm in your own ways. Both of you breathing the air around you. Both of you exactly where you are supposed to be. The thought of the moose in its forest is something I hope you can carry with you into sleep. Not as an image you have to hold on to, just as a presence somewhere at the edge of awareness. The dark forest, the frozen lake, the enormous patient animal, the breath rising in cold air. All of it out there, going on without you, which means you do not have to go with it. You can simply let it be. Let the moose be in the forest. Let the forest be in the dark. Let the dark be exactly as it is. And you can be here. Just here. Just this. Nothing more than that is needed tonight. You have listened to a long story about a large, quiet animal in a cold forest. You have let your mind wander through spruce trees and frozen lake, and the deep, pale blue of a boreal January. You have spent some time in the company of something ancient and patient and steady. And now you are ready to sleep. I can hear it in your breathing. If I listen, the slow, even quality of it. The weight settling further into what supports you. The thoughts becoming less distinct at the edges. The images beginning to soften. Close your eyes now, if they are not already closed. Let your face relax. Let your jaw be soft. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your hands be open, and your breathing be easy. There is nothing to do. There is nothing to resolve tonight. Everything can wait. Everything will wait. The world is patient. The forest is patient. The moose, standing in the dark at the edge of the frozen lake, is patient. And you can be patient too. You can let tonight be tonight. Nothing more complicated than that. Let yourself go, slowly, in the direction of sleep. Let the voice become just a sound, like wind in the spruce. Let the words become just warmth, like the forest's dark pressing close around you. Let the moose go on being a moose, somewhere in the cold, enormous and patient and entirely itself. Let the forest be dark. Let the lake be frozen. Let the snow fall softly in the spruce. Let it all be exactly as it is, exactly as it has always been, far away and long ago and right now, all at once. And let yourself rest, gently, completely, in the warm, dark that is yours tonight. The moose is in its forest, and you are here, and here is exactly where sleep lives.